Hey, if you're about to go to university or you're just going back for your second year, third year, or your master's, this video is for you if you're really worried about getting a job, if you feel like the job market is incredibly competitive, or you're worried about AI, or whether there's going to be a job for you when you finish graduation. Think about this as my pep talk to you, completely free, like we're just sitting down one-to-one and having a consultation with the single question in mind, which is, how do you think about getting a job? What should you do? How can you plan this out? I'm going to cover everything in this video. It's just unfiltered, unedited, and no post-production. This is really just me talking to you, because I've been moved recently by a number of young people who have reached out to me, a number of parents who have reached out to me about their sons and about their daughters. And I've been helping young people and professionals find jobs since 2013. So that was, through COVID, through difficult times of international students, getting visas. And I've learned how to navigate difficult situations by just having a simple system or a set of principles, which, if I'm being really honest with you, haven't actually changed. A lot of testing with hundreds, probably well over 1,000 people now. So first of all, your ability to get a job really starts with your ability to plan and to stick to the plan. Something that I say to the men who I mentor or who I help in my personal life or in my voluntary work, to say, look, the number one way that you're going to build your self-esteem is by keeping the promises that you make to yourself. Now, when we break this down, it's really important that you think carefully about the promises that you make, because if you set unrealistic expectations without a plan, the chances are that you're going to fail, you're going to miss the mark, and what will end up happening is that you'll feel bad about yourself. You'll start to backslide from this really motivated, energetic place to this kind of like, what's the point? Why shall I even bother? And what is worse is when we start to point the finger outwards and we start to blame everything else, because ultimately you are all you have. You might have parents, family and all of that, but your ability to find your job is basically driven and motivated by you and your actions and ability to move forward. So for me, it always starts with a plan. Now, if you're starting fresh, it is really just as simple as, after you watch this video, sit down, set a timer on your phone for, say, 60 minutes, and open up a spreadsheet and write down all the companies that you want to work for. You're aiming for 50, I would say at least 20, which is really going to stretch you. The jobs that you'd like to do, and if you don't know, then this is a great chance to research. A really good place to start is prospects.ac.uk. The website for the careers portal for those companies, because we don't want to be applying through LinkedIn, through Indeed, through jobs boards, if only because these are great places to gather information, but they are not great places to apply, because more people are there and you're having to go for a double filter system. Imagine that you're applying to be an auditor at PwC and you see the job on Indeed and you apply for Indeed, so you get filtered by Indeed and then you get filtered by PwC. Better to just go straight to the source, right? If I could buy the oranges wholesale, I would, rather than going to the supermarket, because wholesale, it's going to be cheaper, it's going to be faster, I'm going to have a better pick of the bunch. Then, are the programs open yet? If not, when are they going to open? Is there an email list that I can sign up to? Have I got a dedicated email address that is just for finding a job? Now, this is something that's I used to talk about, but I think is really important, because when we have somewhere that's dedicated to just finding a job, we're much likely to get distracted. Now, this could be a Google Sheet where you track all your applications. It could be a fancy Notion dashboard. There's some great templates out there. Or just a dedicated email address, because when you log in, it's just about finding a job. It's not about all the offers that you signed up for or the courses or the free downloads. It's just about finding a job. and then you put the different stages of the application and where you're at. So application, online test, interview, assessment centre, and if it's relevant and not included in the assessment centre, the final interview. Now, why is this important? First of all, when you, and we'll talk a little bit about planning in a moment, when you get to that, you know, that half an hour, that 20 minutes, that time in the coffee shop, that lesson that's been cancelled, and you're like, oh, I know what I can do. I can look for a job. You have somewhere that you can go to find out where you were and pick up where you left off. Otherwise, what tends to happen is you will find yourself caught in a loop of random actions. So you'll open up LinkedIn, you'll go to Indeed or CV Monster, or whatever it is, and you're just going to randomly start applying for stuff. Now, for most people, this is a thankless task. It's not something that's going to really yield results. It kind of ties into this idea of, you know, busyness equal laziness. So I'm just being busy because I kind of feel guilty and low-key ashamed that I haven't got further than I am. So I'm just, you know, I'm just doing stuff, but it's not actually getting me anywhere, because basically I have, you know, decided to go somewhere, but I kind of vaguely know where it is. It's a long way away. So if I kind of walk in that direction, hopefully I'll get there. Now, you might get there, but it's going to be much longer and much more frustrating than if you have a plan. So you're sitting down in front of your Google Sheet application plan, which is something that I have offered for free for years. And if you're particularly interested in me doing show notes for this and giving all the handouts, then please just stick a comment down below and just say notes. And I'll make sure to put that in later on after this video comes out. Because you go there and you can get one application done. Check about that company you really want to work for, whether they're open. Go and check your emails quickly and think, oh, okay, I applied for XYZ job. It's been 7 days. I'm just going to see if there's an email that I can chase up my application. So you're very systematic in terms of your approach. Now, the next thing after this is getting your CV done. CVs are not generally looked at by people, they're looked at by robots. And by that I mean application tracking systems. So what you really want to do for this is you want to make your CV as simple as possible. Fancy designs are only really necessary if you're applying for a creative industry or a creative role where you are pretty sure that that's what they're looking for. You want to remember that it's being passed, so you know, 1 page for investment banking, maximum of 2 pages. Just lay it out really sequentially. So again, I've got a template for this. If you're interested in it, just put notes down in the comments. You know, name, email address, phone number, town, postcode, so they can geolocate you. Education, you know, what grade are you going to get at your university? Chronological order of your employment history. And most importantly, what we want to think of, and then finally skills and interests, so IT, languages, and then hobbies. What I really like about the CV template that I probably came up with in 2013-14, and the reason why I did this is because it was so jarring having to go through CVs over and over again. That was so different, so wrong in my very limited experience at that time. And I used to go, look, here's a template, just use the template. Right, when you've done the template, then give it back to me, because then it looks the same. Now the good thing as well is, a CV is just about pattern matching between one document, your CV, and another document, the job application. The less that they match, the less likely you're going to get a job. The more that they match, the more likely that you're going to get a job. And by this I mean an interview or being invited through to the next stage. It's really just as simple as that. Now, if you're not really sure, or you like using technology just to leverage that, you can paste the job description and your CV into ChatGPT or Gemini, or you can use a specific piece of, you know, SaaS like JobScan, which I've loved for years, because it's just an easier user interface to find how closely your job description matches the CV, and you just tailor the key skills. So what this does is that it means it's very low friction, because you're not just looking for a job, you're studying for your degree, you're part of extracurricular activities, you're doing a part-time job, maybe you've got a relationship, you've got friends, you've got family who want to, like, there's a lot of things that are competing for your attention, and the more friction something is, the less likely you are to do it. And for most graduates, probably the highest friction thing that they have is looking for a job, because it's difficult, it's long-winded, it's very onerous. There's a very low reward loop that you're going to be getting back, because most people aren't going to get back to you, or you're going to get rejected. So you want to make it as easy as possible for you to do, otherwise you're just not going to do it. Once you've got your CV, then you need to think about having an application plan. Now, this is something to really separate into two different ideas. First of all, there is this, what I feel is a misnomer or a mistaken idea about quantity over quality. Now, the example that I've used to explain this for many years is LinkedIn One-Click Apply. Fantastic resource in theory. In practice, and I have read countless posts on Reddit, spoken to loads of students, and people just go, does anybody actually get a job on LinkedIn? Like, is this going anywhere? And in fact, if you can afford or have a free trial for Sales Navigator or LinkedIn Career Coach, I know you used to be able to do this with Sales Nav. It's been some time since I used this. You would just see that a job that was put up 4 hours ago already has 200, 500 plus applications. The important thing to remember is, if it's easy for you, it's easy for everyone else. But if it's easy for everyone else, it's really difficult for you. The lower the barrier to entry, the problem with technology is the lower the friction, because technology reduces friction, it makes things easier. It just means hordes of people can do the thing, because the easy decision is the hard decision. Because less people are going to do it, so there's less competition. So I always suggest to people to set aside enough time to do 2 to 4 quality applications a week. Now, when I say that to people, they just seemed a bit baffled. And in fact, that's what I do. I have a very small number of premium clients a year. I don't advertise, premium coaching services. It just, people find me, generally through referrals. And that's what I'll do with them. They'll meet with me every week. They say, look, here's the two companies we're going to target. Go away and do those applications. So that'll be, customized CV, a cover letter. And a cover letter is literally just, why do you want to work for the company? 5 key facts. What is this role? Explaining the role, because that's matching up for the application tracking system and the key skills that are being asked for. Because a cover letter is just a complementary document to a CV to make you a better match. And why are you good for the role? And then finally, thanks for your time, look forward to hearing from you. That's all the CV is. Again, I've got a one-page cheat sheet for CV. If you want that, just put notes down in the description below. And then doing your application form questions. Now, a little side note, sidebar if you will, what about AI? What about using ChatGPT to write all your answers and making it super easy? Now, I'm a professional writer, so I've been writing since professionally, i.e. people pay me, since 2012, and I've been using AI for writing since ChatGPT came out, so December 2022. Funnily enough, writing takes almost as long. Now, ChatGPT, and I'm saying ChatGPT, it's just because it's the tool that I use and it's suitable for me. I'm interested in other things, but I have a limited amount of time. And if you know anything about AI, you know that the tools, there are just so many tools. and so little time, and I just don't have enough time to. So I have my own little ways of doing things, and it suits ChatGPT because they had first mover advantage. Now, what it's great, AI is great for, it's great for research. It's great for refining, it's great for editing, it's great for suggesting. It is not great for one-shot prompting. It is glaringly obvious when somebody has just written something with AI. I have it all the time. In one-to-ones, when people book consultations with me, just, for a single session, and they'll say, oh yeah, and I say, we're preparing for an interview, and they'll go, oh, here's my interview script, and I can just see it's prepared by AI. And what happens is, it doesn't sound like you. And when you try and say it, that's really obvious. And also, it's really obvious to a person who is going through that at a later stage. And you're not learning the skill. You're not learning the skill to communicate and sell yourself, which is really important. AI is not a substitute for skill acquisition. The people who are best able to deploy AI tools are the one who can easily discern what is good output and what is bad output. Because AI is just information. That's all it is. It's just re-representing information. So yes, you might be sitting there going, yeah, but I thought it's not going to be seen by a human, and that's increasingly obvious, and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, but AI may not be making the best representation of you, because it doesn't know you, and it doesn't know the context, and doesn't know the very specific nuances. So what I'd say to you is, yeah, fine. If you want to generate text with AI, that's fine, but edit it yourself. Or write it yourself and use AI to edit and clean and make it concise and a better match, and make it more sophisticated. Think about any AI tool that you're using as a really good partner in crime, but not a substitute for your skill, your talent, your ability. Okay, now the second part of having an application plan that I would suggest is dedicated time booked out in your calendar to look for jobs. That is dedicated to job hunting. Now the reason why I say that is because you're a busy person, and like I said, finding a job is really high friction. It's painful, it's tedious, it's boring, it's upsetting, and most people are just going to avoid it. So today, think to yourself, what are 3 to 7 hours that I can set aside every week to finding a job? Now, that doesn't all have to be done in one go. It could be like an hour a day or here. And you'll understand why I'm asking for so much time. Because bearing in mind, I would rather that you shoot for the stars and reach the moon than just go, oh, I'm going to do half an hour and then do nothing. Right? And this might be something that incrementally you work up to. So it could just be the habit initially using, very simple idea from James Clear, Atomic Habits. You might just say, right, for 5 minutes every day, I am going to look at my application plan. For 5 minutes every day, I am going to look at a company that I would like to work for, and so on and so forth. Now, application plan wise, this just gives you somewhere that you can return to, like a base of operations. I like Notion. We use Notion for an internal dashboard. I think it's really useful to take notes because you forget stuff. So like 3 days later, I don't know about you guys, but when someone's like, what did you do at the weekend? And it's Wednesday, and I'm like, I think it was good. It was good, it was fine. So having somewhere, the more detail orientated you are, the better it's going to be for you, because you either will know what works, because you'll know what you did, and you know what doesn't work. And you can return to things. The more data that you have, i.e. your notes, your application plan, all these things, the quicker that you can pivot and go, oh, that's not working. I was trying a thing and I have sent that particular type of CV to 5, 10 employers and it's not working. I think I'm going to change it and see if it improves my chances. Because progress doesn't necessarily mean you're always getting closer to getting a job. Sometimes progress is going, I'm starting to understand what doesn't work. And realistically, that's what people pay me for when they see me one-to-one. They pay me for time, attention, experience and feedback so that they can make progress. That's basically, what I do in this particular business when I'm working with somebody one-to-one. So pick out a time, schedule it in your diary. Now the reason why I'm saying that is because you're going to forget. You're going to forget, and because what will happen is Monday is informed by what you do Sunday night. Give you an example. When I was at university, I was always high. I was always partying. I was always just, and I never would turn up for what I was going to do, because on Sunday morning I was like, yeah, I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to do the essay. I'm going to do that. Then Sunday night I went out and just went mad. And then Monday I'm like, oh, no, that's right. So it means that you can make better informed decision based upon looking at your calendar and just going, do you know what? Monday morning I said that I would send the application to BlackRock. Dude, I'm not coming out. Actually, do you know what? I'm just gonna have feel free to pop round, but I'm not going out. I really want to get this application done, because otherwise it's just the opportunity passes by. And the more times that we break promises to ourselves, which makes us more mindful about the promises that we're making, the worse that I start to feel about myself. And it always comes back to me. It always comes back to the things that I'm doing and the promises that I've made to myself, because internally I start to feel like I'm just not going to do it. And if you're feeling that way, then maybe re-examine what you're saying that you can do, and just be somebody who does what they say they would do. Even if you're like, right, I'm going to go and tidy my room. Like classic Jordan Peterson, Admiral McRaven, advice given by mums throughout the ages, just tidy up your room. Right? It's just that simple thing that starts to reverse that effect of me feeling like my actions do not meet my words. Now, importantly, with the application plan and with applying for jobs, one thing that I really want to stress, recency is king, right? I saw this recently from a recruitment consultant or an internal recruiter from a big firm, and the member was just like, the closer you can get to applying to the job within 24 hours, the better. So if you can get updates from the companies, if you can get updates from whatever jobs boards that you're signed up to, though this is not as useful second order information, and you might need to do a more sophisticated search to get an email alert. It could be from Google Jobs, or to be honest with you, if it's just simply a case of you opening up your application sheet and just checking every morning, going, oh, I wonder if Goldman's opened up their analyst, right? I'm going to check this morning. Oh my God, it's open. Oh, okay. Right, I've got my CV. I'm going to change that. Let me go and quickly see what I need to do. Right, that thing I was going to do this evening, pass. I'm going to get this out today. The quicker you are to apply, because on day one, there's 100 spots. On day two, there's 90. On day three, there's 80. So all the days that you're going past, little tip, if the job's older than 28 days, it's probably no good. Ideally, you want to apply within a week. That's for the person who's not checking every single day. But if you want to be super neurotic and controlling about it, then you want to check it every morning, right? You want to check about the opportunity. Hey, here's your opportunity for a new future. How often would you want to check? I'm okay. I'll do it later, dude. And there's plenty of time to do it. You could do it on your phone. You could just have a list of the company's websites on your notes or on tabs, whatever. Just make it into a regular thing. And then you can start churning out those applications. Okay, so, we've gotten up to this point. We know the companies that we're applying to. We've got a plan. We have set some time in our diary every week. Our CV is ready to go for the role that we're applying to, and we know how to amend it as and when. We've got a rough idea about how to do cover letters and also the general methodology behind application tracking systems and how they work. And it's a robot, it's not a person, it's not about things being pretty. So, for many of you, many graduates who are applying for big ticket roles, you're going to be thinking about what happens after I send the application. So a lot of times, People will delay their applications because they're like, I'm not ready. Oh, no, I'll do it tomorrow. But I'm just I just need to get ready. I'm not interview ready. I'm not online test ready. That's basically what it breaks down to, and we're going to break these up. So first of all, about online tests. Online tests are so boring. They are painfully boring, and most people will avoid preparing for them, and then be surprised, or will be low-key arrogant because they're so clever, and then be humbled and really humiliated, right? Because they're like, oh, dude, I'm really smart. Like, yeah, I'm doing really well in class, and I was great at this and great at that. Online tests have got nothing to do with that. Online tests are problem solving under pressure with a limited amount of time. Most people fold. And I'm talking about people that I've worked with from Oxford, Cambridge, LSE, Imperial, UCL, blah, blah, blah. People fold. People go like, you know, when you say to somebody, here's a problem to solve, they're like, oh, that's okay. And you go, in 60 seconds, and like, they just freak out, right? And their brain just melts out of their ears. The best thing that you can do is go and pay for an online test provider if you have to, if your university doesn't provide it for you, and just set aside some time to practice. Ideally, one test a day. Ideally, until you pass online tests. Online tests is one of those things which is like riding a bike. So once you learn how to do a particular type of test, and you're consistently getting like 60, 70, 80% test after test after test, boom. No problem. It just kind of stays there. That's what I've learned with working with clients over the years. But until you have that skill, people look at logical tests and they're just like, what? Square, triangle, circle, question mark? It just, for me, so we tend to use graduates first. They're used by a lot of universities in the UK. I like them because they're good, they get updated, it's cheap, and it's easily accessible, and it has a good variety of tests. Now, full disclosure, we used to promote Job Test Prep. I don't like them anymore. They've become too expensive. Now you can't get access to unlimited tests. You can only like subscribe for a certain amount of time, and once you take these free tests, then you need to give a kid. I didn't like it. I just thought, do you know what, you're getting too greedy. I also, low-key, have always liked Assessment Day. I think they're a great firm. They've got some great tests. Whatever, just pay, right? Just pay the money. Pay the money so that you can get some decent practice. Now, for those of you who are sitting there and going, yeah, but I can get online tests for free. You can get them for free because they're not good. They're not good. And they're either going to make you feel like a genius, or they're going to make you feel like an idiot. And also, you can't get consistent practice over time, right? I could use my friend's 1 day free pass to the gym, but if I really want to do stuff in the gym, I need to pay, man. That's the point, because I'm not going to be getting the consistency. I'm paying to build the consistency of the habit to acquire a skill. Getting a job is just skill acquisition at the end of the day, and then you're breaking it down into the micro skills that you need to acquire. Now, when you first start practicing online tests, almost certainly you're going to have to do an SJT, a logical, and a numerical along the way. Some companies do verbal. If you're not sure, go and do your research on Glassdoor and see what other people say. I'm trying to give reasonably generalized advice for a large number of companies. All right? So, do one SJT, one logical, and one numerical. The one that you're worst at is the one that you start to practice first. Most people over-index for things that they're good at. They're like, hey, I'm really good at SJT. I've got like 75%, but I really want to get like 90%. Why? What about the logical test where you got like 20% and a little bit of work could pull you up to 60%? Now, how do you know that you're ready? And sometimes this can be very tricky when everything's compacted, which is why I'm making this video at the 27th of August, because if you're watching this and you're smart, you're going to watch the whole video, you're going to put into practice what I say, so that when graduate applications start to open throughout September, you're ready. You're ready to go. You're not like, oh, everyone started? Crap, I better put on my running gear. You're like, yeah, I'm ready. Like, I trained. I'm good to go. Right? So you're trying to practice this one test a day to get better, to get to 60, 70, 80%. You know, it's different for different people. Essentially, we're just trying to get some consistency to learn what our blind spots are. You know, a lot of people have blind spots, like for maths. Go and use Khan Academy. Brilliant resource, completely free. Amazing. Like, people will be like, oh, I've forgotten about ratios, or I'm not very good at reading charts. That's actually SJTs. I've got a video here. I've got a course breaking down SJTs. It's somewhere. That's something that people struggle with. Most people are decent with logical, to be honest with you, but some people really struggle. But once you start to see the explanations, it begins to make sense to you. Okay, so that's online test. That's kind of what we're looking for. Realistically, within, I would say, 2 weeks to a month, you'll kill it. If you're doing one test a day, you'll really start to see a discernible difference. Once you acquire the skill, you'll be fine. And it's more important now than ever, because a lot of companies do what are called online job simulations. So they'll throw in like some SJT questions, there's a numerical, here's a random logical question. So it's more important than ever. And potentially some companies may retest at assessment centre. Right. Now let's move on to talking about interviews. Now, some of you may have never done interviews, some of you may have done interviews and failed. I think it's really important, and this tends to make up most of the inbound calls that I get, or consults. People don't reach out to me if they've never, it's very rare that someone will reach out to me and they've never done anything. Sometimes they do because they're smart. They're like, I really don't know how to do this. I'm just going to give that guy money so he can help me. Most people will have failed consistently. They will have failed consistently over a period of time, and they're sitting there going, oh my God, why? Why did I fail? What's wrong? Like, I just don't understand what's wrong. So, it's important to get feedback. If you have failed consistently over a period of time, you don't have to get that feedback from me, but get the feedback from somebody who has experience or who has what you want. This is really important. Don't speak to your mate who also doesn't have a job. It's not that helpful, right? Because they don't have that ability to discern between winners and losers, if I'm being really candid with you. Great place to start with an interview is a personal introduction. Again, I've done Tell Me About Yourself here. I've done the free worksheet. I've broken down why. It's a really good place to start, particularly if you're like, I'm a bit nervous, I'm a bit introverted. COVID-19 had a massive effect on a lot of people's mental health. I had this conversation with a dad and his son not that long ago, Monday. And it really affected a lot of people. It affected a lot of people's social skills. Technology has affected people's social skills. People are just like, I'm introverted, I'm shy, and I don't want to do stuff. The problem is you're going to have to, dude. Sorry. Like, you're going to have to. And you're going to have to find a way that you can do that. And believe me, it's not through watching loads and loads of videos. It's through watching stuff and then doing it. A personal introduction is a good way to get started. Write out the script, refine it with AI if you want to, and then practice it every day. Just practice it every day and pin it up somewhere. As soon as possible, you want to move away from writing from a script. The next thing to do is start to prepare for common competency questions. So you can prepare for, I used to call this the 28 most common interview questions. I think people can still download it somewhere. So these are just really common competency questions. Also, you can answer you can start preparing now about why do you want to be a financial analyst. You can start preparing that. This is what a financial analyst does, and this are the 2 or 3 skills. But you can begin to start to flesh stuff out and practice it. The best practice that you could do is timed, randomized interview practice. Get all the questions, don't go over 30. Ideally no more than 15. This is where a lot of people go wrong. Find 5 or 6 stories that are going to help you to answer different types of competencies. Because most people know what good teamwork is. Most people know how to resolve conflict. But what they struggle with actually is finding the examples. You know, I go into this in great detail in my latest interview course, which is the No BS 2025 interview course. I've updated, it's got tons of content. It's a tenner, right? So it's really, that's been selling really well. A lot of people have really gotten a lot of value, and I've updated it for stuff like case studies, video SJT questions, presentations, responding to emails, more to reflect online job simulations. Anyway, randomized interview practice. Set a timer for 20 minutes. Get a numbered list of questions. Get a random number generator. So if you've got 20 questions, random number generator, Google 1 to 20. Click generate, answer the question. Click generate, answer the question. Do as many as you can in 20 minutes. If you really want to be clever, you're going to record yourself. So you're going to record yourself and watch yourself back. And for those people who are like, oh, but it's really cringy, I don't really want to do it, I don't like looking at myself, get over yourself. Seriously, just get over yourself, right? That's how you get better. How you get better is you stare your weaknesses in the face and go, oh, dude, I'm really not good at that thing. I should probably like improve it. And I'm going to do that mindfully, attentively. And that's the way that you get better. Honestly, the more reps that you do, the better that you're going to get interviews, and you don't need to wait until you get an interview. When you get an interview, you can just tweak your prep a little bit, do a bit of research on Glassdoor, watch one of my past the interview videos, like you're golden. If you want some feedback, then you can do prep. It's not that I find that there are lots of different AI coaches. So we used to, I chatted with the guys at Vuma when they first come out, which is from Stanford or anyway, somewhere. And there's lots of, like this Google Interview Mate. The problem that I have is that unless you're willing to pay a lot of money for direct feedback, is that a lot of it is text feed, like text, speech to text feedback, and it doesn't seem that great, if I'm honest with you. Having gone through it, it's not bad, and if it's free, it's better than nothing, but it's not great, and it's not really tailored. And that's the difficult thing about interviews, and sort of the finesse about it, is that I still work with, a reasonable number of people every month, because they want a human to look at them with experience and go, there's that thing that you do over and over that is not great. I'll give you an example. Like, an AI is not going to detect, if it speaks to text, that you twitch a lot and you spin in your chair, you keep touching your face, you've got bad eye contact. Like, there's lots of cues to pick up on. I'm not saying I am better than X or X is better than me. That's just my observation. So yeah, that's interviews. Most times, even when I work with people one-to-one over a period of time, most clients will do 3 to 5 interviews before they progress. Right? So rough percentages are, for me, working with somebody one-to-one for a premium coaching is still like maybe 1 in 3 applications are successful. I would say the first interview success is maybe 1 in 3 to 1 in 5. Then they pretty much tend to sink it every interview or every other. And assessment centers like 1 in 2, 1 in 3. Cool. That's interviews. Now to assessment centers. And you'll excuse me, I just felt inspired to make a video because I haven't done it for a long time. I was mindful about the time of year and I wanted to really drop a lot of value, but I can't, I could literally talk for 8 hours and cover everything in amazing detail. Assessment centers. Most people turn up to assessment centers completely unprepared, which is ludicrous. By the time you get to assessment centers, you're literally the top 1 to 5%. Right, and I'll let you in on a little hint. If you're wondering, you are technically good enough to do the job. That's why you got to the assessment center. Most people will fail based upon their interactions with other people. So an assessment center is basically about problem solving with strangers. There's only 7 types of exercise you're going to get at an assessment center, which is a written exercise, a group discussion, a case study, a presentation, an online test, a role play, and a final interview, right? That's helping people prepare for hundreds of assessment centers in at least 50 different companies. They're all the same, 2 to 3 exercises. And then you do the whole schmooze thing, like you do the meet and greet and like, hey, here's why we're really good. Here's a presentation about how amazing we are and how we're changing the world and how much we care. You might do a lunch or a dinner. I had somebody message me the other day who'd bought one of the courses and sent me a WhatsApp note, and she was like, I'm going to an assessment centre for a private bank, and I'm going up to have dinner the night before. That's, dinner the night before. And she was like, what should I do? And I was like, just be there, be thoughtful, listen, have good questions, be really careful about what you say. The absence of words rarely offends. And a lot of times, so if you're, I guess I'm starting to sort of break it down a little bit. So if you're engaging in things which are not assessed, right? So this is like networking, Q&A, meet the graduates, meet the team, dinner, lunch, breakfast, whatever, right? It's not assessed, but you're meeting people. Go and listen to people. Go and learn, because people love to talk about themselves, right? So you can go there and ask intelligent questions. And intelligent questions comes on really good research. You can ask a damn good question based upon your research, what you've read about the company. Say that this young woman who was going for to interview at a private bank. I would devour everything that they've done that year. I would do my research, figure out the deals, think about what is something that's really affecting the people who are working at that bank. It could be technology, it could be macro stuff, micro stuff. And then I would wait. Like, I don't want to be the jibber jabberer. You'll be familiar with that term if you watch any of my videos about assessment centres. I want to be the person that goes there and says, do you feel that China's rising unemployment numbers, which came out a month ago, are something to be concerned about? How do your clients feel about that? Deeply thoughtful questions will leave impressions on people, particularly people who are very smart, ambitious, and great problem solvers, right? Anything that makes them go, that kind of knocks you out of the loop. Because a lot of times as well, it's a pantomime. It's method acting, right? In a way, where you're just kind of turning up. I meet so many people and I always go, hi, how are you? Good to see you. That's wonderful. That's fantastic. Like I'm just on autopilot, and then someone comes along and goes, hey, I read that piece that you wrote 3 months ago about da-da-da-da-da. It was really interesting, but I wanted to ask you about something. I'm like, wait, what? It's like all of a sudden somebody turns the lights on and I'm like still getting dressed. I'm like, it just throws people in neuro-linguistic programming. We're talking about breaking the pattern. Everybody has, patterns that they're engaged in, like just interesting and thoughtful questions. Just sitting there thinking, I think I'm going to ask about that. And follow what you find curious. Follow what you are interested in. So what's the best practice you can do for assessment centres by yourself? That's kind of the key thing, right? If you have a great career service, ask them if they can do mock assessment centres. If you have a society, see if you can get companies to come in to do mock assessment centres. But otherwise, practice case studies. So when I tried to make the most comprehensive assessment centre preparation course on the internet, and I included 16 exercises. Beginner, intermediate, and advanced, because I knew that the more case studies you do, the more problem solving that you do under time, the better that you get. The people issue, get yourself out there. Go to meetups, volunteer. If you're like, oh my God, the thing is like, I'm really nervous about meeting people, you're going to have to do that more. You need to lean into the discomfort. You need to lean into that thing that's really going to be where the growth is. And that's how you practice at assessment centres. Most people don't pass assessment centres first time. And that's really difficult. It can really shatter somebody's confidence. But something that I want you to remember, if this has happened to you, if you got there, you'll get there again. It's a levels game. So if you started getting interviews, you're going to get more interviews. If you started getting assessment centres, you're going to get more assessment centres. If you started getting final interviews, you're going to get more, because your standard goes up. You're kind of like, oh yeah, I remember, doing that when I was like 8. It's really easy now. I don't even have to think about it. It autopilots, and you just get back there. So don't be disheartened. the chances are the second or third time around, you just go in there and you're an animal. Because you're competing against people who were once like you, who had no experience and have given it no preparation, no thought whatsoever, and you just crush them. Because you are more competent and therefore you come across as more confident. Finally, what about final interviews? There's a couple of different things that I tend to see for this. Rarer is presentations or, pre-prepared sort of pitch decks. I see this sometimes for venture capital, private equity, some investment banks, some professional services firms actually, some engineering companies with presentations. So I could talk about PPTs and all that sort of. Use Guy Kawasaki's rules. If you're not familiar with it, I'm not going to go through it. Just go and Google it. Kawasaki, Kawasaki. As few slides as possible. One thing, one slide. 1 minute, one slide. I like simple rules. The slideshow does not win the presentation. You win the presentation. You win the presentation by practicing. If you get 5 minutes, finish under 5 minutes. Don't finish over 5 minutes because that's bad. You've broken a promise. The promise is that I sit in front of you in a presentation. You will inform me. Bonus points if you entertain me, and you're not going to go over the time that I've allowed for you. That's just disrespectful, right? And if you're like, yeah, but I had so much to say, say it better. I can say a lot in 5 minutes. I just have to really tailor the angle that I'm going for. Okay. But what about, final interviews with partners, with managing directors, senior managers, all that sort of thing? The first thing to bear in mind is you're basically a shoe-in for the job. For me, it's a flip of a coin. And sometimes people are like, how many opportunities are there? How likely is it? It doesn't matter. Because you're never competing with other people. You're always competing with yourself. And your preparation is the competition with yourself. So when you turn up to a final interview, just bear in mind it is, for me, and I do this as well with a lot of professionals, have a really good personal introduction. Have something that makes that person break the pattern. So if you've not had this experience, you will in the future. But I've interviewed a lot of people. So I've run my own businesses for the last 8 years. I have managed somebody else, but I've managed people since I was 22. Yeah, 22. So like 17 years. God, interviews are so tedious. Hi, it's really good to meet you. And I'm just thinking, because what am I thinking as an interviewer? What am I thinking is that, particularly when I've been, a senior manager or running a business, I'm like, I have got so much to do. You are so bad. Please hurry up so I can get back to all the other things that I have to do, because this is not, helping me right now. Harsh but true. That's just for me. If you're watching this and you interview a lot of people and you don't feel like that, please slate me in the comments. I would love to see that. But a good personal introduction let me know that someone's switched on and breaks me out of the loop of the day. And the loop is generally I'm fixing problems, I'm managing something. And generally senior managers are the problem solvers of the highest order. So actually they're going around, they're putting out fires, they're smoothing over clients, they're pushing on projects, they're anticipating problems, they're making sure that deadlines don't get missed. So, going there, having a good personal introduction, and maybe I give you some soft serve questions. So, tell me about yourself, why are you here? Why do you want to work for us? Why do you want to do this role? Now, very quickly, I'm going to be able to tell whether you've done your homework or not and whether you're really prepared. Now, personalities are different. Some people are just dicks, right? Some people are going to sit there and look at their phone or be thinking about lunch. In fact, I think the worst time to interview, if you have a chance to interview before or after lunch, interview after lunch, ideally in the morning, really, when somebody's the freshest. But you just have to do the best that you can. Very quickly, if it becomes a conversation, this is good, right? Also, having good questions really help. Questions that I like is sort of, What's the best piece of advice everyone's ever given you? What's the biggest mistake do you feel that new starters make here? What's something that I can learn right now to be ready for this job if I get chosen for it? What's something that you think not enough people are talking about? What is something that excites you right now in this industry or in the business as it is? What's advice that you would give to your younger self based upon what you know today? These are all questions which are thoughtful. They really ask somebody to sort of search the database and not just give a textbook response. Not everybody's going to respond to that question. Look, if you do a crap interview and you ask a great question, it's not going to win the interview. And that's pretty much it. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. It's unfiltered, it's uncut. I just wanted to lay down some serious value to that person who is like, I really need to get a job. I want some clear direction. You know, if you want the notes, just click notes. I'm not adding anything. I'm literally just gonna edit the bit where I turn on the camera, put a thumbnail on it, and just upload it. And good luck. Good luck. You are good enough. You are good enough. You will get there. The person who is successful is the one who just didn't give up, who was just too stubborn, too stupid, too arrogant, just go, I give up, you know. And if you settle, it's on you. You know, if you settle, it's on you. And, you know, there's lots of other things that I could talk and bring into the conversation, but maybe that's a video for another day. Peace.